He was ranked 165th in the world. Nobody knew his name. And in 12 months he became one of the most feared players on the PGA Tour, and it all came down to one moment, on one green, with his own brother standing next to him carrying the bag. If you clicked on this video, stay with me for the next 15 seconds, because what happened at this tournament is one of the most emotional, most unexpected stories golf has seen in years, and by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why grown men, professional athletes who don't cry on camera, broke down in tears in front of millions of people. This isn't just a golf story. This is a story about family, about second chances, about a kid who was written off, and what happens when everything finally clicks at exactly the right moment. So don't skip ahead. Every single detail matters, and the ending is not what you think. Before we go any further, if stories like this move you, real stories about real athletes overcoming real odds, hit that subscribe button right now. It genuinely helps this channel keep telling these stories, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming in this one. Okay. Let's get into it. Rewind the clock about a year. Chris Gotterup is a name almost nobody outside hardcore golf circles even recognized. He's sitting at 165th in the world golf rankings. For context, that's not up and coming. That's the kind of ranking where players are fighting just to keep their PGA Tour card, fighting just to make cuts, fighting just to stay relevant in a sport that chews up talented players and spits them out every single season. Golf is brutal like that. You can be one of the most gifted ball strikers in the world and still be completely invisible if the results don't show up on Sunday. Gotterup came out of Oklahoma. A solid college career, sure, but nothing that screamed future star. He got into the PGA Tour through a sponsor exemption at the John Deere Classic back in 2022, basically a golf tournament handing him a golden ticket, a chance to prove himself on a stage he hadn't fully earned yet. Most guys who get sponsor exemptions play 1 week, miss the cut, and disappear. That's the story 90% of the time. But something about Gotterup stuck. He didn't win that week. He didn't even come close. But he left an impression, and more importantly, he never forgot who gave him that chance. Now fast forward. A year ago, at the Scottish Open, in front of one of the biggest crowds in golf, Gotterup does something that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. He goes head-to-head with Rory McIlroy. Let that sink in for a second. Rory McIlroy. One of the most decorated golfers on the planet. A 4-time major champion, a guy who has been the face of professional golf for over a decade. And this unranked, unknown 26-year-old from New Jersey holds him off. Beats him. Wins the tournament. If you know anything about golf, you know beating Rory McIlroy in a head-to-head battle isn't just a win, it's a statement. It's the kind of moment that either becomes a springboard to superstardom, or it becomes a fluke that people forget about within a year. Golf has seen both. For every player who breaks through and builds a career off one signature win, there's another who wins once and completely vanishes from relevance. So the real question after that Scottish Open victory wasn't, can Gotterup win a golf tournament? He'd already proven that. The real question was, can he do it again? Was that a one-time miracle, or was this kid actually the real deal? He answered that question fast. Season opener in Hawaii, the Sony Open, Gotterup wins again. 3 weeks later, the WM Phoenix Open, one of the most raucous, high-pressure environments in all of golf with tens of thousands of fans screaming on every hole, Gotterup wins that too, in a playoff. 2 wins to open the season. At this point, golf fans and analysts are starting to pay very close attention. This isn't a fluke anymore. This is a pattern. Then he goes to the PGA Championship, one of the 4 major championships in golf, the biggest stages the sport has to offer, where careers are made and legends are built, and finishes tied for 10th. Not a win, but a signal. A signal that he belongs in the room with the best players alive. He's not sneaking up on anybody anymore. Every player in that field now knows the name Chris Gotterup, and every player in that field knows he's dangerous. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Here's where it stops being just about golf shots and starts being about something much deeper. The John Deere Classic. Same tournament that gave him his first shot back in 2022 through that sponsor exemption. Gotterup, ever the loyal one, comes back to play it, even though he's got a title to defend across the Atlantic at the Scottish Open the very next week, even though the British Open is looming right after that. He could have skipped it. Plenty of top players in his position would have skipped it, rested up, protected their body and their schedule for the bigger events ahead. But Gotterup didn't. He said the tournament had been super nice to him, and he wanted to be there. That loyalty is about to matter a lot more than anyone expected. Now here's the twist nobody predicted. Gotterup's regular caddy, the guy who reads his putts, calculates his yardages, talks him through every decision on the course, the guy who's basically his right hand for 4 straight days of high-pressure golf, is not there. Why? Because his wife just gave birth. Brady Stockton, Gotterup's Caddie is home, holding his newborn child, doing what any new father should be doing in that moment. So who steps in? Who does Gotterup turn to, in one of the most important weeks of his career, at the tournament that gave him his start, with a major defending title on the line the following week? His own younger brother, Patrick Gotterup. A guy who had caddied for Chris briefly on the Corn Ferry Tour years earlier, the developmental tour, the minor leagues of golf, before going off to build a normal career after graduating from Indiana. Patrick wasn't some seasoned professional caddy anymore. He had a regular job. This wasn't his world day to day. But when his brother needed him, he put the bag on his shoulder and walked back onto a PGA Tour golf course like no time had passed at all. And here's the thing about this decision. It wasn't some last-minute panic move. Chris later revealed they had actually planned this out months in advance. They knew Brady's due date was coming. They knew there was a chance it would collide with this exact tournament. So the brothers made a plan, have a fun week together, and if the moment came, try to win it. Nobody expected that plan to actually deliver a trophy. It was supposed to be a nice bonding week. Instead, it turned into one of the most emotional victories of the entire PGA Tour season. Sunday. Final round. This is where you need to lean in, because the way this tournament unfolded was pure chaos, pure drama, exactly the kind of finish that makes golf must-watch television even for people who don't normally care about the sport. Gotterup starts the day 5 shots behind the leaders. 5 shots. In a stroke play tournament on the PGA Tour, against a stacked leaderboard, 5 shots is a massive gap to close in just 18 holes. Most players in that position are playing for a top 10 finish, maybe a top 5 if everything breaks right. Winning from 5 back on the final day? That's the kind of comeback that gets talked about for years. Lucas Glover and Lee Hodges are sharing the 54-hole lead. 9 different players are within 4 shots of that lead heading into Sunday, including Zach Johnson, a 50-year-old former Ryder Cup captain still out there competing with guys half his age. So what happens next? This is where the story doesn't just end, it sets up the next chapter. Gotterup now heads to Europe to defend his Scottish Open title, the very tournament where this entire remarkable run began exactly 1 year ago, when he shocked the golf world by beating Rory McIlroy. Think about the symmetry here. A year ago, an unknown player wins a tournament nobody expected him to win, beating one of the greatest golfers alive. 12 months later, that same player returns to defend that title as a 5-time PGA Tour winner, ranked inside the top 10 in the world, a completely different man walking onto that golf course than the one who showed up the year before. He'll be doing it as the world number 6 in the FedEx Cup standings, jumping into the top tier of world golf rankings after this win. From 165th to a legitimate top 10 player in the space of 1 calendar year. In professional golf, at the highest level, against the best players alive, that kind of jump practically never happens. Careers are usually built slowly, over years, with steady incremental progress. What Gotterup has done is compress what normally takes half a decade into 12 months. And underneath every bit of that rise is this thread of family and loyalty that keeps showing up at exactly the right moments. The loyalty to a tournament that gave him his first real chance back in 2022. The brother who stepped away from his normal life to caddy for him when it mattered most. The tears on the driving range that had nothing to do with money or rankings and everything to do with sharing an impossible moment with someone he loves. This is why sports stories like this one hit so much harder than just a highlight reel of good golf shots. It's not really about the birdies or the 62 or the 20 under par. It's about a kid who was invisible in the rankings a year ago, who stayed loyal to the people and places that believed in him early, and who, when the biggest moment of his career arrived, had his own brother standing right there beside him to share it. If this story moved you even a little bit, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment telling me what part hit you the hardest, whether it was the collapse on 18, the brother stepping in as caddy, or those tears on the driving range. This channel is all about finding these real, human stories inside the world of sports, the ones that go beyond just the scoreboard, and there are a lot more coming. Thanks for watching all the way through. I'll see you in the next one.